Good morning, or whatever time of the day or night it is for you. I am Charlene of the Rainbow Frequency, and this week I am super chatty, and that's the energy that we're in right now. First and foremost, I come on here to provide this free content with the intention of aiding you in your highest good. Everything I do imparts energy balancing because that is who I am and what I'm about. So it comes through just in engaging with me. Personally, I work best, I think, one-on-one because in part what I do to connect with people, I have learned is that I engage with them soul to soul. Or one way to say it is that I feel like when I'm with you, it's like I can connect in that higher consciousness realm and pick up what I need to pick up as a medium so that when we converse, I can help you steer yourself almost by illuminating what is going on. And that's a very simplified way of articulating that. I hope it was clear. As a child, I was drawn to the ferrymen and mythology that led people to the underworld. It just was something that, to me, I just felt this tingle, this love and appreciation, and most people around me didn't. So, I was like, oh well, that's sad. And there's a movie, and I'm going to try to talk about this without ruining it for you, but Pan's Labyrinth. A lot of people will find it a little disturbing or creepy. I think it's magical and beautiful. I mean, it is set at a time that is brutal. I mean, the Spanish Civil War, not a pleasant backdrop, no. And to me, the real nasty is in the humans. But that's my interpretation. And, a lot of people have a different perspective of the ending of that movie. Whereas for me, I think it's a beautiful, happy ending where the person gets to return to their rightful place, home. But that's just me. And again, look into it. It might not be for you, but Pan's Labyrinth is a beautiful movie. Very well done, in my opinion. I'm going to try to keep the chatting part short. And I know YouTube, my phone is in the mix, but whatever, man. I'm a normal, non-videographer, channeling human trying to just help. So whatever, you're going to have to deal with my camera. My phone, whatever. Same difference, right? Back to the message. It's hard to be both a channel and a human. We come here as we are. Here's the song that wanted to come through, by the way. We come here as we are, as we're designed to be. It's your job, should you accept it, to look into who you're meant to be. What does your heart say? What does your soul say? Where does it lead you? You don't have to. It's free will, but it's exciting and thrilling. I don't know why they want to sing through me, but they do, and I love it. Sidebar, I do love footnotes. I mean, I am that nerd. Sidebar. That is something where I will be very honest with you. One way I know that it's communication coming in is that they will do it through song. They will rhyme. All of a sudden, as I was really delving into being what I am, I was rhyming like crazy in my head. And I was just like, had to like back it up and be like, okay, too much. It's like Dr. Seuss all of a sudden, like, no more. Dial that back. And it did. It dialed back because that is something that you have to also, like, if you come here already as you are, and you have to take ownership of it and understand it and work with it like anything. You have to set boundaries. I had a friend, luckily early on, because she could see like I was having headaches a lot, like I wasn't sleeping. I mean, I still don't sleep necessarily like one quote unquote is supposed to, but she's like, you can set office hours. You don't have to be open to the channel 24/7. You tell them what you want. And that's something too where it's just like something else at one point I had read or been told, or I don't remember. But your guides, guardians, helpers, ancestors, whatever it is, yes, it is amazing and powerful and wonderful and divine and wonderful. Yes. However, they need you. They need you to be the living, interactive in this plane conduit or vessel, right? So it's just it's important, like any relationship, to have healthy and clear boundaries and to converse no matter where you go, there you are, is where I'm trying to get you to. And it's just, no matter what relationship it is, have boundaries, do what's best for you and the other party, but at the same time, if it's not best for you, it's not going to be best for the other party, is it? That's the main message. Also, just you can study and train and become X, Y, or Z. Yes. Through X amount of hours, you can become a pro. This is true. It is. You can acquire all sorts of knowledge and skills and training and do lots of things. However, what I'm here as a Reiki master teacher, then off the rails, decided, like, for me, here we go. It's like the musical hour with Charlene Schreiber. Here we go. One song that came in like a year or so ago is, I want to be self-actualized. I don't want to be homogenized. I don't want to be a sheeple going through the motions. I want to be self-actualized. I don't want to be marginalized. I don't want to be a sheeple going through the motions. I want to be self-actualized, feeling deep and real emotions. I'm just saying, who's with me? Come on. We don't want to be little robots going through the motions, doing what we should do. I mean, yes, be respectful, I believe in being a beneficial part of the environment that you are a part of. I believe in love, peace, and harmony, do no harm, that's me. But at the same time, you have to be here invested in yourself. You have to. I mean, why are you here? To live, to be excited about what you're doing and joyful as much as you can. Yes, it's hard. It is. Being human is damn hard. But at the same time, it is what you make of it. And if you're not, at the very least, trying to carve out some time to sit with yourself and get centered and grounded and then tap into what you love and then spend some time doing it, you're wasting your time here. No offense. That sounded really harsh. And I don't necessarily always love how they want me to articulate it, but that's love. And I work in the energy of love. I mean, Reiki is the universal energy that we tap into. For me, what is that? That's love. And love, why do I like working in the energy of love? I mean, besides the fact that it's love and it's awesome. Because it's so multifaceted. It has so many different tones, different applications, different... I mean, there's motherly love, there's fatherly love, there's sisterly love, there's brotherly love, there's friendly love, there's fierce love, there's compassionate, soft, gentle love. I mean, you follow me. We could be here all day. We're not going to. But I have to set boundaries with myself even. It's just... it's so multifaceted and it can reach everyone if they allow it. And I do very much believe we are here. We choose to be. This is a very big, powerful time where we are going through a shift of consciousness. We've been doing it ever since we got here, and it's important work to expand our hearts and our minds and go into new compassionate terrain. That's what they want me to say. And that's what I feel. And that's, I mean, again, like, for me, and it's just so crystal clear, is that, like, I was watching a movie as a young child. I want to say it's called Claire's Children. And I mean, don't watch this movie if you don't want to cry your damn eyes out. But it was about this woman whose children got hit by a train. And it was on television, and I'm just sitting there watching this show or this movie and really getting into these people's lives and invested and feeling it. And then all of a sudden, these kids get hit by a damn train, and I am like crying my eyes out like a complete, utter wreck. Pun not necessarily intended, but always appreciated. And my mother was just like, what the hell is wrong with her? Whoa, like, that is a reaction that is a little bit over the top. And then I got labeled as being sensitive and I couldn't necessarily handle it. And I'm saying hi to everybody, by the way. Hi. And it's just like different times in my life where I would have a response because I would feel something so much that the people around me who weren't open to that. We're just like, get a hold of yourself, crazy. So I learned to try to not do that. But I mean, when I went to see what is that movie? Oh God, what is that movie? Seven. Yeah, with Brad Pitt and Kevin Spacey, I believe. Oh my God. Like, I was there with two friends, and they can attest. Mike Lane was there. Diabolic nonchalance. And shout out to you, my friend. And I mean, I hyperventilated. Like, I flipped the fuck out. Sorry, in my line of people are sailors. I can't help but curse. I'm passionate. You can't take chartreuse out of the color box, can you? And I seriously hyperventilated. I didn't talk for quite a while afterwards, and they were just like, I mean, they were very compassionate and sweet and loving in the moment, but they were just like, wow, all right, okay. Didn't expect that coming out of her, but she had a moment. Another time I went to see Accessing the Files. Oh God, that movie that made Ryan Gosling so famous. Anyone want to shout out to me? Where they're like in the future and the poor person has dementia or Alzheimer's, and anyway, like, you get to see how they met, and it's going back and forth, and like, I mean, I went with a friend who had read the book, and I hadn't known anything about this movie, and I get there because I like going into things not knowing and just experiencing it. It's fun. And I get into the movie, and we're talking like maybe 10 minutes in, I start sobbing, because that's another thing. Like, psychically, I kind of ruin things for myself watching TV and movies because I know it's going to happen, and I can feel it, and it's just like, oh my God. So it's hard sometimes to watch certain things anymore, but I start sobbing, and I ruined the movie for my friend, because she's just like, oh my God, like, she felt so bad for me that I was just like so completely fucking wrecked, like 10 minutes in, and just like the bawling through the entire thing, and just, oh my God, I feel you people, oh my God. And it's just like, again, does everyone respond to things that way? Perhaps not, but I'm not the only one out there, right? Like, there's tons of you that, that's the whole thing with movies and television. We willingly give up that human disbelief factor in us, like, we go into these things. Not everyone. I mean, you hear the critics all the time. They're like, that would never happen. And you're like, shh, it's a TV show. It's not real. Let me enjoy this. And in that terrain, we willingly just, all right, shut that part of our brain off. I'm going to enjoy this. Here we go. And with ourselves, we don't ever do that. That's not true. Some of us have gotten there, right? But a lot of us, the stuff will come in, and we just completely disregard the information, or to tell ourselves that we're crazy or that it's being silly. And, in the past, when I first poured it into this timeline in 1977, we were still working to accept our differences, to accept our mental illnesses, or we'll say even I'll say chemical imbalances, and maybe even that there might be blockages that need to be attended to, or, I am a big fan of psychology, really, truly. However, in a lot of things, they're still seeking an external fix, and it's not external. I'm sorry, it isn't. It is not external. While sometimes external variables can help the situation, it is an internal dis-ease or something that needs to be addressed so that then it can be outwardly fixed, if that's how you want to look at it, or outwardly adjusted to be balanced. I like that way better of being said. You can't just slap a Band-Aid or necessarily take something and call it a day and be peachy keen jelly bean. I mean, you can, it might be a component, but it's not the end, and a lot of times, like with addiction, sometimes they'll take the substance out of the equation, but replace it with something else. And while I'm very much supportive of replacing something that's bad for you with something that's good for you, something my dad taught me young in my life was that there's even such a thing as too much broccoli. Like, you have to have that balance of all things and recognize what you're doing, why you're doing it. Are you comfortable with those reasons? Is it good for you? Is it what's best for you? These are the things, personally. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. Damn it, Jim. I'm an energy worker and a medium. Seriously, but at the same time, I have been, in my 44 years, I started seeing a therapist when I was 4, because again, my parents thought something was wrong with me. Or not maybe wrong with me, but I wasn't exhibiting the most normal of behaviors. It's probably, looking back on it, they had my IQ tested when I was 4. So it's just like things like that where I'm like, why would people do that? How interesting. And at a young age, because of the fact that I came into an environment that wasn't necessarily balanced in and of itself, I started reading books about psychology and trying to understand humans, and really, I did, in a way, go deep, deep, deep within. I was a writer. I journaled everywhere I went. I was that goth girl in high school, always in a book, always in a journal. They thought I was taking copious notes in class, but no, I was writing deep, powerful poetry and talking to myself, but in a way where I was like, why are you so funny when you talk to yourself? Because that's kind of odd in and of itself, isn't it? That you're so hilarious just talking to yourself in a journal. And then I'm like, my collective, my guides, my support team are flippin' phenomenal, extraordinary league of beings who are hilarious. Thank the cosmos. It's what gets me through. It really, really is. So, open yourself up to that love and support. Like, think about it. Like, Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So your loved ones love you fiercely everywhere they go, and allow for the fact that sometimes when you're in that rock bottom or dark down awful place and something makes you smile in that moment, or like all of a sudden you get that comfort and it makes you not like all the way go down the spiraling darkness. Hello, thanks, just saying. All right, so now we're going to go into the reading component. Oh God, I need to look up this, and then I knew it. We did look it up once. Sorry, I know a lot of French. If anyone speaks French, écorché. I'll show Instagram first. Écorché. Écorché. I would love a direct translation. Écorché. But I can figure it out. All right, so it's this person. Oh, and this is where I wish I was so much closer to both of you. And I still don't know why I try to be Batman with multiple screens, but they want me to reach as many people as I can. Okay, so see this being, they have a top hat on, they don't have their skin on, they're exposed, they're raw, they're sinew, they're standing on the water and it's flat, which haha, yesterday's video I spoke of standing on the water and it was flat. I love how these things work. Again, thanks. In order to be in alignment, see how the legs are jaunty and just so, and it really, it can make the shape of a figure 8. And to be your best self. Oh, and look, the arms, it almost, now it to me looks like a DNA strand. Previously it looked like the infinity, but oh, that's deep. Sorry, channeling. It's not human conversation. And this often happens. You look like a freak show, but I have to put my hand on my head and woo, here it goes. Okay. If your body is the vehicle and your soul is eternal, and if you watch my videos, I talked about this before, but your blood, is one component that connects you to your ancestors, but then you also have the material that's in your spinal column, and it all goes together. So what is it that keeps it all going in one context? Semantics is everywhere, right? But us, our DNA, and moving forward, and that evolution of self, the butterflies, like we know, like how beautiful they migrate across the world, and that's amazing. And then you're like, well, how does one little butterfly do that? Like that, like they only live a certain amount of time. Like, wait a second. And then you learn, oh no, it's not one butterfly that does it. It's one butterfly gets to this point, has laid eggs, and then the next batch goes further, and then, and it's that cycle of life, right? All right, I'll just go here. The best I have ascertained from these downloads or bits that they're giving me at a time, I do believe in reincarnation. I believe definitely that all of which I just said, that we are of ourselves and our DNA strand and all of it all goes together in the great big puzzle. But our souls, when we end this cycle, they know scientifically that after we have transitioned in that moment, our bodies weigh a different amount. And I'm not just speaking of what happens physiologically. We'll not get into that. But at the same time, and when my father passed and I was there helping him in that transition, I knew claircognizantly in that moment he could be infinite places at once, energetically speaking, or soul speaking. And it was just like, wow, how interesting, how neat. I just knew it. And then, you read other things that have been out there about other people's experiences with past life, or not past life, near-death experience. And I was like, wow, okay, how interesting, because that's exactly what I would have been, what I had picked up. Yes, okay, that's fascinating, so interesting. Do I know everything about it? Hell no, but I'm starting to understand little bits. And, we come in to this life on purpose to do what we're here to do. So to me, that's why I'm like, it is very important to lean into yourself. So many people, when I was a hairstylist, didn't know what they liked to do for fun. They didn't know what their hobbies were. And I was just like, that up there with not having an internal dialogue is very, very, very strange to me, because I don't know if it's just because I'm an only child, but like those things are my coping mechanisms. I mean, they're my passions. They're what makes me tick. So I it's just hard for me to imagine that. And that's where it's just like, you have to lean in to find what lights you up, what makes you feel content, what makes you feel restful. Like everyone's different. Not everyone loves to cook. For me, cooking can be a meditative action. I mean, some people, it's exercise. Some people, it's gardening. Some people, it's all of the above. Some people, it's flying a damn kite. Like, figure it out. It's Sudoku, Mahjong. There's so many different ways that you can get. That's something we'll just tap into before I keep going with the cards. It's just like, people have to break their minds wide open to where the meditative plane can be reached. You can get there washing dishes, sweeping. Monks are known to use sweeping as a meditative action. They're different, like Qigong, Tai Chi. But again, washing dishes, if you open yourself up to it, can become a meditative practice. Taking a shower. Anyway, Mahjong, these things, because it's being in the motion and doing it and slipping into that comfort zone of letting it all go together. And then your mind has that space to also have conversation with you, is one way to say it, or process things with you. So just try. But it's that in order to be in full alignment and in that highest consciousness, grounded state, that calmness, you have to be open you have to, this rawness, this bare muscle, to me, is articulating authenticity, being not guarded, not in this false skin. A lot of times we don masks, we put on personas, or we present as what we think we should be presenting as, and that's where we really, we're doing ourselves and our environment a disfavor. So tap into your emotions, be authentic. Your emotions are signals. They're not something to shove down, as we've learned. They're something that are valid and to be looked at. We don't need to go over the top with them, but everything. Your body gives you signals, your mind, your emotions, it's all there. It's all part of the kit and caboodle that is your toolkit for tapping in and knowing the most. Just saying. All right, so that was the Fanted Pack, but with Edward Gorey's illustrations. I'm a huge fan of Edward Gorey. All right, so then we'll go to, you can't see it, the Essential Oils Oracle cards. From the herbal world, what do we need to know? And again, these things are timeless. We're checking in right now, but always, like, the best way to be in alignment, to be balanced and grounded, is to be listening to all of it. We overly compartmentalize all the time, and almost everywhere, a lot of us. So that's where, again, like, if I can get people to realize, like, stop putting everything in a box. We don't need to be overly boxed in. My business card, I tried to be as open and not boxed in. So I said energy worker and intuitive guide. And I've had people like, what does that mean? I'm like, all right, I'll explain it. But, like, am I simply this and that? No. I'm adaptable, and I work with individuals in many ways. All right, so we got fennel. All right. Up top, we got the keyword is aligned. Ha! See, this is why I love pulling from the decks and just letting it come out. And then aligned. I just was talking about that. See, it's exciting. It's so much fun to tap in and listen. And then you get the validation and you're like, yes, I love this. Anyway, you could have this too. Tap into your joy. Anyway, trigger statement. It's not my fault. True statement. I take full responsibility. How we respond is ours. How we react is ours, right? Shift into your body and listen. Release the emotions you have been storing and move forward. Bathing is an energetic releasing tool. Release, let it go down the drain, it's not going to do everything for you, but again, it's creating routines, it's setting that space and carving out those times and those rituals for yourself, instead of just being caught up and going through all of the emotions and not feeling the emotions and brushing them aside, right? Like, it's so easy because we're so busy. And then it's so easy to get just mad and it's not my fault. But we're all together in this madness. We are, and I mean, I'm in a family, and while they drive me bananas sometimes, I'm in that banana split with them. Maybe I'm the nut. I think they think I'm nutty for sure. But they love me, and I mean, they're nuts too. So anyway. All right, Emily Dickinson. I really love poetry. I said that in the last one, but inquire the closing rose, which rapture she preferred, and she will point you, sighing, to her rescinded bud. All right, these always take me a minute because, this is deep. Okay. That's beautiful. All right. Inquire of the closing rose which rapture she preferred, and she will point you, sighing, to her rescinded bud. Her childhood, her youth. What I have found is that a lot of getting there for me is tapping in to what brought me joy, what brought me that comfort, where I really felt the most myself. That's cool, Christina R. I like that synchronicity. And we are what we love. I said that before. Those are our clues. As a child, the things that really excited you, I'll say, there was a point where I wanted to be a doctor. Do I want to be a doctor now? No. But do I want to help people heal? Yes. So I once got in trouble. My mother told me that I shouldn't play with dead bees. I know, right? What a weirdo. That they could still have a stinger in them and that I would possibly get stung. I didn't listen, I just, would play doctor with these dead bees and try to resurrect them, and they just were so important, and I loved them. And then one day I got stung, and I was like, oh, she was right, Anyway, long story there, but it's just that, and I've said this 1,000 times too in these things. Like, as a little girl, I saw He-Man and the Sorceress, and I was like, yeah, I want that job. That's awesome. Sign me up for that, And then different things along the way I would read, and I was just like, oh, yeah. The first time I saw Sword in the Stone, I'm like, I want to be up there in Merlin's tower. Like, put me there, So it's just, we have the clues, we have the signposts even. It's just a matter of really paying attention and leaning into them. And personally, this is perfectly driving my point in. It's like, oh, Emily, I'm really sorry for you that you didn't live fully all the way through your life, and that instead you locked yourself away. And I love Emily Dickinson, but that's a lot of sadness and reclusivity. And while I get it, and I could definitely go live in the woods by myself for sure, So many people pine for their youths when they could be having that energy throughout their whole lives. It takes work. You have to fight for it. You have to work for it. And if you have a family, sure, you have to carve out that time for yourself and your joy outside of them, because, we also get so consumed that we forget that a lot of being healthy is loving detachment, boundaries. And again, comes back to that boundaries. All right, now we're going to go to the animals, the Druid Animal Oracle deck, which now you can see this one much better. It's hard enough to take ownership of yourself, and do what you do with intention and be in your heart space. It's hard enough to do that. Then you mix yourself with other people who have their own free will. They may or may not be in the same place with the same goals or what have you. Again, it's putting it into practice. All right, so then we got the cow. But this cow has horns. And to me, and there's daffodils. What else? What else do we see? Maybe some red clover. I'm not sure what the other one is. Again, there's water. They're on the ground, so it's okay. So they have 3 feet on the ground and 1 foot is up. I was right the first time. Again, a lot of times I'll physically do what feels right, but then second guess myself because I'm like, no, wait, I'm going to look at it and think about it. So it's just like, oh, stop it. You were right. Hello, stop it. Anyway, but we're just so used to doubting ourselves is my point in showing you, even when I know and I'm trying to teach this, it's so easy to fall into doubting yourself. And I'm not trying to create a bunch of egocentric people who think they know everything. No, but at the same time, like, let yourself be. Okay, so this cow with the left foot up, to me, illustrates this being who is very much both masculine and feminine in their energy, because typically I've seen cows not have horns, but at the same time, like, horns are how we connect spiritually to the higher consciousness. Is one way of looking at it. And in my work, left is for giving, and right can be for receiving. That's not to say that I don't use both hands at the same time, and I mean, there's many different ways. But to me, this card is illustrating, with the left foot up, it's up in that they're balanced in the masculine, feminine. They're grounded. They've been reflecting See how there's a reflection of the mountain in the water. They've been reflecting in their emotions to stay grounded. And in that space, these flowers denote new growth and flourishing, thriving, because when, again, you're in that alignment and taking that time and space to be grounded and centered and hearing and feeling before reacting, that's best for you. It's best for your environment. And I think that's kind of part of the message, and the point is that we've been really, really, really previously in a very reactive space in our timeline, and we're starting to recognize some of our foibles, perhaps, some of our patterns where maybe we need to let go of certain belief systems or thought processes, or open ourselves up for more expansive thought, or maybe even, because this is a general reading, so I'm trying to be expansive here. So perhaps even different ways of getting there, different options. All right, so then we got from Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light Oracle cards. We got no, we got wait, postpone, pause, say no. Now don't get all nervous and down on this. If you're watching this currently, which thank you for those who are, we got a lot of planets in retrograde. The moon is waning. We have a new moon coming. If you tune into the moon, new moons are when you start things. Retrogrades are not necessarily energy where you start things. They're one of my favorite ways of looking at retrogrades is use the RE words, realign, renegotiate, readjust, I can't keep going. Anyway, I could, but I'm not gonna use up all the time doing that. But RE words, you can do them on your own. No, also, healthy boundaries create good relationship. So don't say yes to things that you're going to resent and not really want to do. I mean, yes. Again, discernment, how this applies. Don't be a jerk and shirk your responsibilities. But at the same time, don't overextend yourself at the moment either. Also, we're in an energy where we're feeling the moving forward. We're ready for things to start having traction. We have energy again to get out there, perhaps, but at the same time, pace yourself and wait for the right timing. You can't force it into being, is what this is saying. Let it flow naturally as best as you can. Some things that won't apply to for sure, but at the same time, oh my God, this is hilarious. What just came through, with this lightning, and you see the pyramid and the cosmos and this on the steps, the steps. And again, it's just funny to me, but they do often use a lot of movie references and different things because again, it's something easy and funny to get us there. In this card, what I'm picking up is that moment in Back to the Future where they have the clock tower and the lightning and everything has to be done in the right steps to come into that powerful alignment so that they can have that catapult, that flash forward, that getting themselves there. That really makes me laugh. We'll take the bottom of the deck, they say. Get grounded. Empaths, highly sensitives, connect with nature. Connect with nature. I've said this 1,000 times, I'll say it more. We are becoming more empathetic each new generation. So that's to say, we are more sensitive, we're more attuned, we're feeling more than ever before. So of course, right now, as we're getting adjusted to that, it is overwhelming. It is something to be mindful of. I make these videos not open for children to necessarily watch because I do curse, and I also want people who are parents to watch my videos, and then if they choose to share it with their children, they do it together, perhaps, so it's just, this stuff is very important for us to lean into and figure out for ourselves, but also future generations, so they don't have to. I mean, everyone needs to have their challenges, to have their way of learning and getting themselves there. But at the same time, if we can save people a little of the suffering in the right applications, we have to always be mindful. I've found with parenting, you can't save somebody their suffering because then you're shortchanging them the lesson, which is very valuable and necessary and really what we're here for. So as much as you love them, sometimes you have to take your hands off the wheel and let it divinely play out. I mean, sometimes you have to jump in, but if we're not grounded ourselves, how could they necessarily be set up to be ultimately as best successful as they could be? And it's also just, if we are becoming more sensitive, then we have to be aware we're all different. We're all picking up different things, perhaps. Like, it takes all kinds for a reason. Some people are more like IT people, engineers, people, programmers, people who think in those terms are going to have different ways of getting themselves there intuitively, perhaps, than other people who are more in the empath zone. They're more structural, perhaps, in their thinking. It's more looking at a big picture, finding the anomaly, and then getting there to fix that. whereas people who are more empathetic are going to be more sensitive to the vibe or the feeling of a room and like be able to tell who's not feeling good, or you know what I mean? So we're all here designed as we are for a reason and with good purpose. It's just figuring out where your skill sets are and working within those applications. And the best ways of doing that is, you know, being in nature, you know, having that quiet time to sit with yourself, like, and it doesn't have to be that still. Like, even if you're just sitting with a cup of tea or coffee or water or whatever for a few minutes, if you can, outside, that's great. You know, I'll sit with my coffee and sit under the stars and appreciate them in the morning, and then appreciate the sounds of my garden. I'm not completely still. But at the same time, like, it's equally as you can go for a walk. If you want to be more in action, if you can, go for a walk. For me, even like looking on Instagram or different places at nature, I find that very soothing. That's why a lot of my Instagram feed is photographers and their beautiful nature shots, because it's therapy. You know, art is therapy, music is therapy. If you choose what's therapeutic for you, and we're all different, you know, like one person's therapeutic music, like I had a massage therapist that would let me pick my own music, and she laughed because I would listen to Black Sabbath, and it would start with the thunderstorm and then it would just go on through, and it was just, that was very relaxing for me. And I don't necessarily always love spa music, so it's just to each their own, and find what works for you. Like, some people I've noticed love to go to the gym and like run to or exercise to music that's like and it's just like, that's certainly a very good way of getting there. And I mean, in yoga there's Kali breathing, Kali breath, there's cathartic yoga, or I forget what it's, all the names of these things, but you know, there's a cathartic meditation. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say to you. But there's all these amazing different ways of releasing that, seriously, if you're feeling all pent up and like you need to release, look up the stuff I just said. Also, pinatas, you know, like, hello, pinatas were brought into this world for a reason. And yes, one reason could be for parties, but also I think if you're not opposed to the cleaning things up, great for releasing frustration and anger. Also, I've done the board and hammering nails in. You know, it's just, there's a time for it is what it is in it. There is, but you have to acknowledge the emotions and your feelings and why you feel that way first. So, you know, first, sometimes you have to acknowledge that you're angry and that you deserve to be angry. You don't take it out on somebody. You know, one time I took my son to the woods. You know, I had a hard truth. I was just like, your dad and I are not ever getting back together. I'm sorry, but you have to know this, and holding on to hope in that isn't going to help you in any way. So let's end that. I mean, albeit he was very young, But at the same time, I just knew, having gone through it myself, that that was very important. So I told him, we had the conversation, and then we went hiking, and I found a fallen tree, and I was like, now let's kick this decaying tree, and if you want, you can curse. So I let him curse, and he surprised me. He was very good at saying what he said, and I was just like, ooh. I mean, in part that's because of me. Maybe all. Anyway, but again, it was that emotional release, and it was helpful, and I felt very good about that moment with him, and he seems to be processing things as well as one could. So I have to acknowledge and give space to that too. It's hard though. I mean, when you love people, it's so hard to step back and let them have their own space to get there. Because you want to help. But, help yourself. Focus on you so that you can be of best service is another message. Okay, so bottom of the deck, we got 8 of Cups. I'll go to YouTube first. Okay, so 8 of Cups. It's going after that which fills your cup. You've recognized what doesn't fill your cup, and you're leaving that, blessing the past and walking forward, moving on towards what does fill your cup up, what does bring you joy, what you love. The cups are emotions. That it's the suit that represents our emotions. And it's about, if you are that cup, you are that holy grail, what fills you up, what invigorates you, what brings you joy, what do you love, and going after that love in all aspects of your life, right? And, tell me it doesn't look beautiful and adventuresome. You could stay in Emily Dickinson mode in your cottage in reclusivity, in that darkness. And if you need to, I mean, the dark and the void space is the womb space. And sometimes you have to stay in that hibernation mode to then be at your best, to then burst out of the chrysalis. So take the proper time. But at the same time, follow your heart and soul to where it leads. We got Knight of Cups in reverse of where we are. Now, I don't always read reverse in the classic tarot sort of way. So, to me, in reverse, this is saying, like, again, it's an inside job. This isn't a place where we're looking externally for that fix. We're supposed to be looking inward and connecting to those perhaps dormant parts of ourselves that we've shelved that want to come out and play. A lot of people you'll see will start by coloring. or needle pointing, and again, these are meditative practices. They're also ways that you can connect with yourself and that creativity. Hula hooping, putting on music and just dancing. Um, it's all about taking that first step and then getting comfortable in that step and then expanding perhaps into another step. Like I have a friend, she told me a story where she, as an adult, was going to get supplies for her house that she just bought, and she saw a hula hoop because her friend was playing with it. And then she was just like, oh yeah, I love hula hoops. So she bought it. And then she started hula hooping, and then she started, expanding her moves to where she was doing more complicated things and really getting into it. And it was a way for her, pun intended, to get into her own groove, to find her own rhythm and comfort zone, So it's just like, take those times, take those little fun steps, see where they lead. Don't expect it to be instantaneous, Then we have where we are, the obstacle is, it's that 5 of Wands, letting go of the conflicts, because we got it in reverse. So upright would be speaking of the conflict and the tension. Woo! Let it go. Literally, I just let the card go. Let it go. We're not here to be in competition with anyone else. We are uniquely designed, and what is for us is ours, and what's for them is theirs. So let go as much as you can to that discomfort, that conflict, and just focus more so on breathing, on maybe going for walks, staying centered, and really opening yourself up to what would make me happy today. Because tomorrow you might feel like doing something else, so if you don't know what you like to do for fun, really don't limit yourself is my first and foremost thing, right? And also, just even if you do know what you like to do for fun, sometimes we'll get into creative blocks or ruts, and it's good to step aside and try something else and expand ourselves or move a little into that unfamiliar terrain. And then, even if you discover it's not for you, that's fine, but you might pick up one bit that you incorporate into your equation that's very valuable in that experience. Then where we have the advice from Spirit, 3 of Wands. It's that coming together of collaboration, blending. Again, we have that water, we have the mountains. Water is representative of your emotions and your intuition. The mountain in tarot cards is representative of you ascending and accomplishing your goals. Also, mountains, pyramids. It's that indestructible, indomitable, sacred geometry that is where the power lies. you know, mind, body, spirit. Perfect trifecta. You know, when we compartmentalize ourselves, we shortchange ourselves, and we're not allowing for the blending. We're not allowing for the fluidity. We're not allowing for the play where the joy can come, perhaps, is one way of saying that. You know, do you want to be at conflict? And infertile? And I don't necessarily mean gestationally, but, or do you want to be in collaboration and blending magically, beneficially, and beautifully where you are? Again, I mean, one doesn't get to juggle wands without practice. I'll say it again. One doesn't get to juggling wands without practice. It takes discipline, it takes practice, and it's not something that's done overnight, generally speaking. I mean, sure, there are those people who are, you know, can pick something up and be brilliant at it instantly, but that's rare. Then we end it with Knight of Wands. Okay, so this card, there is this individual, you know, they're illuminated. You see this grid. So this is, you know, and then you see this light that they're channeling their higher consciousness is one way to look at it. The sand of this pyramid that's been eroded, perhaps. You can see the grid. You know, there's a grid pattern, sacred geometry in this person, and then there's this wavy grid pattern. In my previous live, I spoke of Hado, which is another way of perceiving, like Reiki, the universal energy that's everywhere. Hado is wave, and it's everything travels in that wave motion, energy, sound, you know, all of it. Just and again, I'm not a scientist. And in my meditations, when I work with myself or with people, I start by having the roots go down to the crystalline grid. Then you form into your tree. Then you go upwards and your branches go up into the cosmos and connect to the Celestine grid. And then you go even further and connect to the core of the earth and the center of the cosmos. And you're aligned, you're centered, you're grounded, you're protected. You're there. So this is saying that, again, if we're on this evolution of self, if we're on this evolution of consciousness, of even the planet, the sand to me, one way of looking at it is the ancestors, your connection. Again, sand is very conductive. Our blood is that conduit to our ancestry and our past. And then, to me, the cosmos and that connection is how we help guide ourselves, like the North Star, to the future. And it's that we're and again, I'm trying to keep this expansive, but some cultures favored industrialism, and that development, and kind of moved away from spirituality, whereas other peoples didn't necessarily choose that. And it's the weaving of all of it together that's important to moving forward. The spirituality, the energy, the intuition, the creativity, and the technology, the architectural engineering of, if we're rebuilding our way of life going forward to being more beneficial and balanced, we're recreating, we're redesigning, and we're heading into new territory that it takes time and space when you're going somewhere new. It takes time and space for it to come together. So we can't charge always super fast when we're going into this forward movement. We have to take our time. Like, you see this person, they're not on a horse, they're walking. Horses in tarot is one way of illustrating like forward movement and in a fast variety. Whereas this knight, this champion going on their quest, holding their wand, holding their power, holding their connection to spirit and their creativity and how they want to manifest with the environment that they're in. They're going from one plateau, perhaps, and going further on their journey, like we can see leaving these mountains, these goals, perhaps in the past, these lifestyles, these deaths of self, even perhaps, leaving them in the past. We've moved forward, and we're going somewhere new. And in this card, it's showing you, like, you don't know where this person is necessarily headed. You see them, and it's more about them in this card and how they're in their power and sacred geometry. They've felt their place in the cosmos, if you will. They feel how they're constructed, how they're aligned, and are wanting to work with all the aspects to create the magic. See how they're constellated? Again, you come here as you are, as you're designed to be. It's your choice to accept it, to work with it, to know it, and to apply it in a joyful manner. Is it always going to be joy, 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 joy? Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy? No, it's not always going to be happy, happy, joy, joy. You know, there's always in life going to be times where there's challenges or conflict, perhaps. But at the same time, like, we'll kind of wrap it up with this. Like, I loved the Care Bears when I was a kid, and like you could go around being all like and putting out that energy into the world. And personally, I mean, there's enough nasty, there's enough bad energy, there's enough people wanting to just whine and put it on other people and not take ownership of their own selves and their own actions and want to work for it for themselves, most importantly. So it's just, and I'm speaking not of any one group of people when I say that, not at all. I mean, I've had people very close to me tell me that they've lost their light and they just had this like defeatist, like almost like somebody needed to like find it for them and give it to them. And it's just like, it made me so furious with this person, because I'm just like, here I've been trying so hard to help you and tell you everything I can to help you see how to keep it. And it's just falling on deaf ears because you don't want to. And it's just like, okay, if you don't want to be joyful, whew, sit with that. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life like Eeyore or Grumpy Bear or this like little gloom and doom energy ball? If you do, more power to you. Maybe that's what you came here for. But, you know, do you want to instead figure yourself out and then be happy as best as you can and carving out your niche, your own path that makes you feel like you're in that groove? You know, not that you have to prove anything, but because you're just doing what you love and it doesn't matter who's there looking. You're just like, I'm doing this. I did that. Yes. Me. I'm just saying. You know, and this doesn't have to be a masculine figure. This is, to me, someone fully in their power, in their sovereignty, appreciating their sacred geometry, appreciating how they got here and what they're designed to be capable of doing, and wanting to lean into those capabilities and figure out how to best do them for ourselves, actualizing ourselves. Because that's what you're here to do. Anyway, best wishes, all the love. I'll see you next time.